Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about a few other weapon combinations with Mars I think might be interesting or might have a place over here in NGS. But before we jump to that, if you're new here, as always, my name is Chrono. I primarily cover PSO2 content. Would much appreciate a subscribe as we're way towards that 10K mark, hopefully by the end of this year. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. So there seems to be like this narrative that's popping up that I only believe in Hydra as far as, well, first off, for my my Marvel friends out there, relax. Second off, that I believe Hydra is the only way, so on and so forth. Or there's been a lot of contention over the conversation about Mars, where a lot of people are testing Mars, finding out where its use cases are, so on and so forth. And there's different camps of individuals when it comes down to it, right? You got one camp of people that are like, well, you know, it kind of sucks. It feels like the only thing that's really usable or that's really powerful is Hydra, which, I mean, after testing, I get that. Like, I totally understand it. Mars is really cool conceptually, and it looks really cool. But before Mars even came out, I was very vocal about saying, look, when this comes out, it's likely going to break some stuff. I don't think there's content in the game that's specifically tailored to Mars, that's specifically balanced around Mars. I think things are balanced around not having Mars, and when Mars comes in, it's gonna kind of mess with a couple of things. Fast forward a bit over to when Mars actually releases, and it's kind of broken a few things. Now, granted, it's not to say that these things couldn't be done before without Mars. It's just now it's very common for them to happen. Things like completely skipping phases of boss fights, where it used to require a very coordinated team, causing breaks at a very specific time. I now very commonly do it in random UQs. Like, we totally skip end phases. And I'm not talking about, like, you know, the level 85 boss or level, you know, the lower level boss. I'm talking about literally current tier Alpha Lake, the level 90 version of boss. His last phase doesn't happen because we skip it by spamming Hydra laser. It's very strong, very powerful, and it's something that I expected to happen. Not a terrible thing though. However, ignoring these things is. We do want to provide feedback. We want to talk about these different things because I come from previous Phantasy Star games we've always talked about. Those who follow my channel know I was a big provider of PSU back in the day, played a ton of PSO2. So now we're over here on NGS, and we've got this new amazing system called Mars, which people have even said the phrase, it's like watered down AIS, which I think is 100% just flat out incorrect. Like, AIS was fun, don't get me wrong, it had some really cool set pieces, but Mars is a far step past what AIS was. So it's more of an AIS Dark Blast hybrid. And again, another weird narrative is coming out where people believe Dark Blast was just broken upon release. It was very strong, yes, and there were some very niche things you could do with Dark Blast, but the player outscaled Dark Blast twice. They buffed it twice, and they outscaled it both times. So this is not something that is uncommon. A lot of people were really concerned about Mars getting outscaled the same way Dark Blast did, but they're having it scale with us, which is a really good thing. I believe that's why that's happening, is because we've outscaled systems like this beforehand. So we want to make sure that it's actually very usable, but it's important to maintain a little bit of balance here. Now, it's important to mention that not every weapon is going to be balanced for every single situation. Some weapons are going to be stronger than others. Some weapons are going to be better in certain situations than others, and some weapon combinations are going to work better with certain classes than others. However, at the moment, Hydra is kind of dominating in most, if not all, those situations, and just random mobbing. You could just laser, or you could stand on the outside and just spam the held laser over and over again and do very well. In just standard bossing, the standard normal attack that Hydra has, like, you know, just draining all of its PP, building up with like regular attacks, and its pop laser that it does, like, those are really, really strong. And then in UQs, you cannot beat that charge laser on downs. You know when a down's about to happen, you have a bar for breaks, you can precast and actually set up to do massive amounts of damage, and people are skipping things with this. So Hydra is very dominant right now in a lot of places. I'm not saying that you should have to nerf it. I'm saying that this is something that I very much expected was going to happen when this was releasing because of the content we currently have. Now, if we want to go in speculation, I very much believe that we're going to see a situation where we're going to have other bosses now tailored to the fact that we have Mars. maybe shorten the down windows so it's not so heavily prevalent that you want to spam Hydra during this down. Maybe they'll have shorter like burst windows where you can jump in and out of your Mars and take advantage of that more often. In those situations, you can't jump into Mars, count on that down, get your laser off, and then get out of it. It might be better for you to use a combination we're going to talk about today, or maybe use a different weapon or something along those lines. And this isn't like me, oh well, you're just coming up with a system that doesn't exist before. Like, I kind of want this to be similar in a sense to that of what it was Dark Blast. Each Dark Blast form had its place, right? Like the Elder form was kind of the quintessential single target DPS king, right? It could just, you went in, it had some AoE, it had some cleave, but it just went hard on the single target variant and it did a lot of damage. You had the Luther or Loser variant who would do really good range and very good AoE damage. He was able to spread out and do damage to a lot of different targets. You had Apprentice who actually had a buff for everyone. So if you wanted to be optimal, you would have one person pop Apprentice, everyone else pop Elder, and all the Elders would just spam damage, and Apprentice would buff everybody up and then deal her own damage as well. And then you had Double, and I'll be honest, I don't remember what Double really did. I just used Double for movement, just for fun in a lot of different quest types, which kind of falls into the situation of, oh well, not all weapons are going to be good in all situations, and that's totally fine. But I'm sure Double had like their place of how they actually were used. I just didn't really optimally use Double at all. But that's kind of what I'm hoping for here, more of like that Mars, and that's what I'm going to show you with this combo that I think is actually really, really cool. But let's go ahead and show this off. And now I have to make sure that I preface this. I was not the person that came up with this combo. The people even showing this off on Twitter right now were not the people that came up with this combo. This was come up by a creator that actually went to go test Mars early. We reviewed their video, we saw their video, and we saw the combo that they used, and I liked it, and I kind of used it and maybe try to iterate on it a little bit. So I'm gonna show you guys that here really quick ahead of time just to give proper credit. Okay, so this is my video reviewing it. You can even see that they're showing it off here and talking about it. It's the risky stance held normal into the second normal and then into the fifth normal of Nidhogg, and you kind of just repeat that over and over again. Builds up Garm's heat while also building up Nidhogg mark, and it is very powerful. I'm going to show you guys how it works and some variations on how you can use it, because it does have like a bit of leeway on how it's used, but it is also extraordinarily dangerous. So let's pop back in the game and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But I just wanted to show that I wasn't the one who came up with this. This was someone else's video. Proper credits will be provided in the video description. It's something that has already existed, and people even are talking about it now on Twitter as well. All right, so here you can see an example. I'm not going to play the whole thing. You can see, oh, this is showing, or has the audio going. Sorry about that. This one basically shows off just essentially utilizing the different abilities, right? So this is spamming Nidhogg combo. This is just spamming laser itself, just like regular normal attack. So this is going to last only 2 minutes. It should, if that's correct, because they went 9 minutes, which gives you 2 minutes inside of it. So 9 minutes build up, full charge, 2 minutes inside of it. That's what you get. This, they're just spamming Nidhogg's combo. This, they're spamming the laser, which the charge laser does give you back some of your time. And this, they're spamming that optimal combo that we talked about, that you're able to maintain your damage as well as your time in Mars. So they're just gonna do this over and over again really quick, and I'll just click over to the end, and you can see theirs ends at 6 minutes and 2 seconds. So it's a lot of time spent in Mars, and it's really cool. Look how the combo works. But again, this is something that's been going around a lot. Of people are showing this off now, and we're gonna talk about it real quick here. All right, so we're in here in the game real quick here, and we'll take a look at the skills that attribute to this. So as you see, we have all of Garm and all of Nidhogg grab, but what's most important here, maybe you're optimizing a little bit more, you want to take certain points and then take other points out because you're not using it. But what you're going to really require here is Garm risky style. I'm kind of in the way here, so I'm going to try to get out of the way for a second. So we're going to slide over here real quick. So what you have is Garm risky style is press and hold the normal attack button to spend HP to perform up to 2 attacks. The normal attacks of all armaments you use after this attack are changed to their final version. So basically your held normal attack will allow you to jump to the final attack of all armaments. That includes Garm. So Garm has a 5th hit as well, or has its final hit as well. If you continue to hit the normal attack button afterwards, you get a normal attack for Garm as well. But it allows you to get the final attack of Nidhogg, which is Nidhogg extend time. Hitting an enemy with a 5th normal attack extends Mars usage time by 1.8 seconds. So what you're doing is you're basically chaining these two together using Garm risky style into Nidhogg extended time, which on the surface seems really cool. And it does create this really, really fun loop that you have for damage. And you guys probably like, yo, you're on like one of the regular blocks for recording this. Yeah, I decided I wanted to do that today. Seeing people around you more often just kind of feels good in an MMO, man. Feels good to be around people. So let me hop into here and I'll show you guys how this combo works. All right, so we're gonna pop into our Mars. Let's just see we've got Mars here. So I do have this set up in a way it's a little easier for me to do this combo. So I hold normal attack into this combo. So a few things here. First off, I don't have to do the entire thing. I could do this into the combo, like into the ender, or I can just stop it right here and go into the ender immediately. As soon as I proc risky stance, it works, right? So as soon as risky stance is proc, that first portion of it is actually only part 1 of the 2-hit combo. So here's part 1. And if I hold it longer, so if I do that again, I get a second hit. Both of these allow for the actual follow-up here. Now, the reason why this is such a big problem, or why this is so risky, for lack of a better term, is you're not regenerating any HP. You're not doing any normal attacks. There are no Garm normals that are happening, so you're going to run out of HP eventually, right? But the cool part about this, as long as you set this up properly, so I'm going to burn this really quick here. I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to, you know what, let me get rid of this Crag Bear really quick here, so that way you guys can see and kind of set ourselves up, and I'll show you guys the combo and how it works. One sec. All right, so we have a fresh Crag Bear here really quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how this combo actually works out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do held risky stance into our 5th normal. And we're also gonna follow up that 5th normal with actually a held normal from Nidhogg to get a bit extra hits in. But we wanna go ahead and proc this first. This is our boost to our mark buildup. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do held risky stance, follow up into 5th normal, into follow up, and held risky stance and follow up. I actually did kind of, so this is the hard part about this combo. You have to remember every portion of it. That's 2. So Garm is fully built up here, so we can end up using this into this. And it's a really good combination. And what that allows you to do is you're able to stay in your Mars for a longer period of time, like they showed in that video, right? Now you can kind of adjust this, right? Let's say you don't need as much Garm buildup. You're just going for the Nidhogg buildup, or maybe you have your Nidhogg built up and you're just waiting for Garm to be maxed out, right? So you can see the little marker above my my rest assign there, and Garm's build up. Keep in mind, you can also just deviate from using risky stance. If you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I need more HP, you can of course just normal attack with Garm a bit more and you will heal a bit. Keep in mind, the higher the stances or the higher your Garm buildup is, the more HP you're going to get. So we're just going to do this really quick so I can just expend all of this here really quick. So, but the idea here is that you want to chain Garm's, you want to chain Nidhogg's explosion into Garm's attack. Now you don't have to wait for a level 2 explosion. You're mostly going for the explosion just to make sure that you're able to get the defense down on the target, which the level 1 explosion will do that. It's just the level 2 explosion does more damage. So you can kind of decide how far you want to go in your combo itself overall. So again, we're going to try that. I'm bad at this combo, to be perfectly honest. And I'm going to talk about why it's not really the best thing to always be doing anyway. So we're going to do this again and follow up. And I already kind of messed up because I forgot to build this first. So again, and then let go. And we're just going to keep this going for a little bit until Garm is ready, which it will be after this combo. And this happened to be ready as well. So we can just go immediately into held weapon action into held weapon action. And we can go right back into it. We can, if you deviate a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Maybe you mess up, you do a different part of the combo ahead of time. Oh, well, now our stacks are gone for our build up here. So we go get that back up again. But as you can see, we have very low HP, right? Because you really don't have any space to use normal attacks if you have full uptime. Well, now we have our mark up fully up, and now we can just deviate immediately. An explosion. And that's it. That's pretty much the entire combo. Now, what are the major issues with this combo itself? Well, for one, this combo does not end up putting out more damage than the laser does on downs. Like realistically speaking, you could use this combo immediately when the down comes up, and you're not going to do better than someone who just pre-fired a laser. So that kind of sucks. So it's not really great for bossing if there is a downtime that you can use the entire laser during, because there's not always one of those situations, right? Basically during UQs, it's mostly not going to be your best choice. So where is it going to be a good choice? Where should you actually use something like this? Well, on medium-sized monsters, this is actually really, really nice. So when you're fighting stuff like Cragbear, maybe you're fighting, Ngoku or something along those lines, this is actually a pretty good combination to utilize, because a lot of those downs aren't super long with a lot of those targets. So being able to get some burst damage by just using something like this, you can do quite a bit. Now, granted, if you're able to find a way to be able to use the laser in the meantime, then it's still technically better to use the laser. But this is a really cool combo that you can actually maintain a lot of time in Mars during, as you guys have seen, while doing quite a bit of damage. The benefit is also you're putting up that damage down, or that defense down, for everyone to utilize, right? It's not just you, everyone can utilize that defense down. So that's super cool there. The problem is that's really about it. You could argue that this might be decent to use in PSE, but realistically speaking, in PSE, this is like the only thing that Mars can do that really like does anything, right? Like it's a very weird spot where like it's like a cone of an attack. You know, it has a pretty decent sized cone, but like it's just not super great when it comes to Mars, which is weird because Mars is actually kind of bad at mobbing. I would have thought that the Skyla rod would, and I know some people have like told me you're mispronouncing Skyla. The game quite literally says the name of the weapon. If you guys turn on the audio, it'll tell you Skyla, like it'll say it out loud. So I'm gonna go with what the game is telling me. So, you know, we're gonna go with that headcanon. Maybe the audio from in-game knows how the weapon is pronounced. Now, maybe they're pronouncing it wrong. Who knows? Maybe we know better. But anyway, I would imagine that Skyla would have been better for AoE, like multi-target, just because you're able, like its normal attack is shooting basically the dimensional arrows from all over the place. I know people have said that it's, you know, it's a rod, but it quite literally is using a bow PA. So whatever you want to call it, you can call it. It's fine. And yes, it is a rod. It does show rod in the flavor text, but again, it's using a bow PA, so it's very strange. But I imagine that was going to be more AoE, but it's not. I did think of another combo I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that like might work. Maybe you guys can get it to work, but I just haven't been able to get it to work. Oh, and I forgot to mention the subunit that we're using along with this. For that combo, for the Nidhogg Garm, we just went with Fafnir. You're not really dashing out of the way of anything, and you don't have a ton of hits that you're doing, so Fafnir just kind of felt the best. Since both Garm and Nidhogg both have guard frames on their abilities, you can get away with using Absolute Shatter, you can get away with using the normal attack, you can get away with using Nidhogg's normal attack. So like all of these kind of like play a role in negating damage, which works really, really well with Fafnir. But our next combination, what we're going to do is going to be Skyla alongside of Garm. The reason for this is Garm, if you just have it slotted in and you kill an enemy nearby, you regen all of your HP and PP. Now, I tried to look and do this, like I tried to test this out, and it's a very weird, like it's either the issues with Meteor Ride or the issues with Garm and how it works. So you get your HP and PP back. It says whenever you kill an enemy. Now, in the past, effects that have happened where enemies just die nearby you have procced these things. I don't know that that's how this one specifically works. I think it's literally if you kill the enemy, because in the times that I've tested this, it almost has never worked for refilling my PP. You guys are probably seeing some footage on screen right now of me trying to test this out and failing horribly in the PSE burst. You're probably like, oh, well, if you just did it this way, honestly, if you guys can get it to work, go for it. That'd be awesome. But in the times that I've tested this, it just has never worked. Now, I'm going to show off the combination itself and like what I was thinking that might be cool, just because we have a limited task to kill tons and tons of enemies in Mars. So maybe you guys can get this to work. I personally have not, but I thought it'd be a kind of cool combination if it did work. But essentially all it is you jump into Skyla and you just fly around and shoot. And because you are killing enemies, or you should be killing enemies in this situation, you would be able to maintain that time in Skyla. However, it's either the way the system itself works or the way this ability works, but because you're in Skyla, like you're in the PA, I don't think you can regen PP back from enemies dying nearby. I personally have not had a situation where I've been able to regen any PP back, even though I've killed an enemy with it. It just has not worked. And it could be just because I was in the Skyla, the ride animation itself, Like, it could just be that you can't regen that HP and PP back because of that situation. But it never really worked. And I was hoping it would. It seemed interesting from a situational standpoint, but I just don't know. Maybe I'm not doing it correctly or what have you, but it doesn't work when you kill an enemy with the PA going. Like, it doesn't do anything. So if you guys are able to get it to work, that'd be super cool. Maybe it's a bug, maybe it's a glitch, maybe they intended for it to work. I don't know 100%, but I know in my time of trying it out and testing it, it just has never worked. And I felt like that would have been the coolest way to get Skyla to work. I feel like it definitely should be the king of like AoE. Maybe have its normal attack target multiple targets at once. But as it stands right now, I can only target one target at a time. I can, you know, move my target and hit things, but it doesn't really hit a bunch of stuff together. So feels kind of bad, unfortunately. This should definitely have more AoE splash. The fact that it doesn't, like, I don't even know if this does damage as I move through targets. I don't think it does. So like, it's just one of the situations where I kind of wish it did. And I would love to see it kind of be that sort of like, even if it, like, you know, having it be relegated to like, oh, it's just the AoE Mars that you use. Even if it was just that, that'd be cool. But like right now, it's just like the cool hoverboard Mars, and that's about it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys have happened to find any combinations that look really, really cool, that work well together. I know like there's always a place to mention that, hey, look, I like this combination because I like these two weapons. That's totally fine. That's 100% understandable. I'm not saying you shouldn't do these sort of things. I'm looking for like ways that some of these weapons can stand out from the other weapon choices that you have with the combinations. I'm looking for, you know, the situation where this weapon just does, you know, does better, has a better combination, has a better synergy, has better synergistic qualities with certain weapon combinations or certain pieces of content. I'll be honest, I don't think those are going to exist right now. I think it's going to be a while before we see them. That content's going to come out around these sort of things. Maybe there'll be a piece of content where Skyla ends up being really good because you're chasing a target, and they give you back a ton of PP. Maybe there ends up being a piece of content that just ends up being fantastic for something like, you know, for Garm, where you need to fight a lot of miniature bosses and you're in Mars all the time. In those situations, yeah, I would take Nidhogg Garm every day of the week. I think it'd be a fantastic combination to utilize. I'm just looking to see if there's any of those combinations you guys have figured out now. I wanted to show you guys the combinations that I saw that I thought were pretty cool. Either way, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed the video, sub if you want to keep up with more. Thanks to channel members, you guys are awesome, and I will see you next time. Take care, my friends. Peace out.